Hello and welcome to the SME Focus show powered by MTDCNC. I'm Mark Weymouth from the Sensor Specialist Plus Automation. As always, today's show aims to highlight aspects of interest to UK manufacturing and topics similarly of interest to SMEs. My guest today is a returning guest because she brings exciting news. And I'm delighted to welcome back Angela Lawlor. Angela is a passionate advocate. Hi, Angela is a passionate advocate for encouraging youngsters into manufacturing, and she's just announced, and therefore she's on today to talk about her West Midlands Manufacturing Festival. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
Well, I think we're both battling things today, so we'll get through this and have a giggle, hopefully. So
Absolutely.
I'm good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's a very busy time of the year with all sorts of things going on. But yeah, it's and of course we're getting the shorter days as well, so we're on the run into winter now. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, you've brought most of your busyness upon yourself, so we're going to be talking about that. So don't go looking for sympathy for us, just go looking for sponsorship and people to attend. So if I look back to many years ago when we first met, it was through the Connex Portal Collaborative Networking Group. So that was the heady days of just after the COVID lockdown. We were all really excited to talk to human beings face to face. And I usually include a musical reference somewhere in the episode. So my musical reference today is going to be for when we first met. So it's Head and Heart by Joel Corey. And I'm guessing almost no one will remember that name, but you'll probably recognize the tune, so there'll be a link to that in the description for the delights of 2020's music. So
you're not going to sing it for us?
I'm not going to sing it. You wouldn't even want me to hum it. and I challenge you to actually remember what the song was or do either. So do you remember Head and Heart? No, I think we were all too excited to go out to be listening to music and remembering it. So casting your mind back to probably pre-COVID as well, you're on today to talk about the launch of your West Midlands Manufacturing Festival. So I'm going to ask about inspiration. And I'm guessing the Leeds Manufacturing Festival and many other events sort of provided some inspiration. So what was the inspiration behind the West Midlands Manufacturing Festival that you're launching in February?
You've actually put your finger spot on it, to be quite honest, Mark. It was during lockdown. It was when I was doing my research to try and find out why young people weren't coming into manufacturing that I actually came across the Leeds Manufacturing Festival. And I spoke to a guy, Graham, who was one of the organisers at the time, had a call with him and was just blown away by what they were actually doing up in Leeds. Really impressed. Not long after then, I came across the Plymouth Manufacturing Group, who also do a sort of festival once a year. And then after that, I came across Nick, who was at that time organising Bradford Manufacturing Weeks, which was very similar again to the Leeds Manufacturing Festival. So at that time, I'd managed to find 3 festivals around the UK. And I just thought, what an absolutely brilliant idea. We really need to be doing more of these, you know. And I had the audacity to get back in touch with Graham and Nick and say, please, can I get you onto a Zoom and get you to spill your brain? and luckily for me, they actually agreed to do it. So I grilled them for an hour on what do you do? How do you organise it? What do you do with the schools? What do you do with the manufacturers? And I just wrote everything down. And made it into a document, because what I wanted to do at the time was I thought, if I've got all this information and the learnings from their mistakes that they've made while organising these, then if I go out to other manufacturing groups and say, hey, you could be doing this, rather than them starting from the the beginning and making mistakes again, I can actually say to them, here's the information pack. This is your starting point. This is how Leeds and Bradford are doing it, you know. So you've got a sort of starter for 10 there. So that was the original idea behind it. And I think I just got caught up with other work and never actually did any more with it. So definitely it was Leeds, Bradford and Plymouth that really sparked that imagination for me.
Okay, so you talked about, I think many people listening to this would probably think working with schools and trying to get schools liaising with businesses fills people with dread. You then spoke to people who did it and got their information, and that still didn't scare you off. So that probably seems a perfect segue before we talk about the festival to talk about your other day job or the main day job or whatever, which is Marvellous Manufacturing, which is actually all about getting that liaison between a business and schools and making it easy and making it more a better outcome. So can you tell us about Marvellous Manufacturing and what you offer and where you came up with the crazy idea and how you've refined it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you know, again, it was really through the research that I did, and schools were telling me, we don't know anything about manufacturing. We don't have manufacturers come into the schools. And then when I would talk to the manufacturers, they would say, we don't have time to go into the schools. We're too busy running the business. And when you sit down and you look and you think, well, actually, what do we need to do here? You know, there has to be a bridge for that gap. What do we need to do? The schools need you to go in. But how often do they need you to go in? Do they need you every week, every month? No, they don't actually. You know, you could do 4 touch points a year, and that's what I normally recommend for the clients that I work with, 4 touch points a year, and each of those touch points is an hour long. So what we're asking you to do is give up 4 hours a year, which in the big scheme of things isn't a lot really. So that would be great. The schools would really appreciate it. The kids would really enjoy it. From the manufacturer side, my thinking was, okay, so they're far too busy. They're saying they're too busy to go in. So if I work with them and I create a program with them and I give them the resources they need to go in and talk to the students, then they're not even going to have to do any background work. So it's not going to be a case of, well, yes, you can go into the school and do 4 hours a year, but you need to do lots of research and you need to put together PowerPoints, what have you. I do all that for them. So and what we do is we make it specific to that manufacturer's business. So this isn't a generic STEM session. This is specific for that particular manufacturer, and the end game is to line up future employees, apprentices for that manufacturer. So by going in, becoming a familiar face, getting to know the students who are in the school, students get to know your business, your staff, they understand better what you do. We all lean towards familiarity. So the students will lean towards you when they're looking at their future workplace. So that's basically, in a nutshell, is what I try and do with my clients.
Okay. I guess one of the things maybe that makes you different from other sort of STEM training providers is you sort of very much customize things, as you say, to the manufacturer you're working with.
Yeah.
And also, I know from what I've heard you talk, you sort of you try and see things from the kids' point of view, and you're sort of very keen to not do yet another STEM activity about cars, because that might turn off the girls in the room. So tell us a little bit about the things you do, maybe give some examples. And I guess I'm trying to pick up points where perhaps you're a bit more different or a bit more considered than some of the other more generic providers.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, each time it's dependent on what that manufacturer actually does. Again, it's finding what that manufacturer does and then finding something that's relative, something that the kids can connect with. Just as an example, you know, I spoke to somebody at one of the expos a couple of years ago who developed a machine they were taking into schools, and it was just a globe with a balloon inside. And when you suck the air out of the globe, the balloon inflated. And the lady I was talking to couldn't understand why the kids were bored and they weren't interested in it. And I just said, well, how's it relative to them? You know, how can they connect with that? And then I started talking to her and saying, when I talk to them, I say, if it wasn't for manufacturing, we would all be living like Neanderthals. So, you'd have to go and hunt for your own food, forget KFC. And as I was telling this story, this lady put her hand up and she said, hang on, our machines extract the spices for KFC. And I'm like, well, there you go. That's what you should be going in and doing with the kids. You should be talking to them about how your machines do that, what they extract, and how those spices are used. And that's what it's all about, really. It's rather than, as you say, doing generic STEM things where you're racing cars around a track or you're building bridges or something like that. It has to be relative to the manufacturer and to the student as well.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. This podcast is really targeting SMEs. So I know sort of some of the work you do, and probably quite a lot of your customers are with SMEs. So maybe can you talk about the SME angle? Because I guess probably anyone watching is going to think, I'm an SME. 150% of my time is already spent running this business and all the challenges that we face. How on earth am I going to do anything to look to the future with my local school? So can I ask you to maybe talk a little bit about really how you're tuned to an SME audience?
Yeah, certainly. And I fully understand, the issues that SMEs do have, certainly with in respect of time constraints. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. And I think it's the future of the business that, you need to be looking at. How many businesses plan ahead? Do you plan a year, 5 years ahead? When you're planning for your business and the growth of your business, you should be included in that. Your people, the growth of your people, and also succession planning. Who's going to be leaving your business within the next 5 years, and how are you going to plug that gap? And this is the whole point of going and doing this schools engagement, because you need to be bringing fresh young blood into your business. It's a well-known fact we have an aging workforce within manufacturing. So just as they spending 4 hours per year going into schools and building up those relationships with your local students, that is part of your succession planning. That is part of your business planning for the future. And it's an important part, and unfortunately it's a part that a lot of SMEs tend to miss out. Don't do it. Don't miss it out. Include it.
I think the point I was sort of leading to was, as an SME, if you don't have the training department and you don't have the HR department, you think, who on earth can do this work?
Yes.
To prepare stuff and look after stuff. And effectively, that's what you do. You make it very quantifiable for them that they've only got to put in a very small amount of the customized stuff, the bit about what they do, and you do all the background work. So you make it definable rather than them signing up not knowing how much time they're putting into an enterprise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. The reason for having you back on the show, because I think it's probably only 6 months ago since we talked about Marvellous Manufacturing, is to talk about your next marvellous idea, which is the West Midlands Manufacturing Festival that you're now at the point of having announced, and you're getting on to the delivery of this amazing idea. So can you tell us more about the event? I guess, first of all, describe the scale of it and what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. I'm absolutely bursting for this, because I think it's going to be brilliant. So we have organised the festival for the 26th of February 2026. It's going to be held at the National Metal Forming Centre. So originally I spoke to Stephen Morley and Geraldine Bolton about doing a festival. And as soon as I told them about it, they just said to me, you need to come and hold it here. We want you here doing this. And they've been so supportive. The Confederation of Metal Form, they've been absolutely brilliant. All of their team been incredibly supportive with this, which is, has made it so much easier. So that's the venue. We're going to bring in manufacturers. We're going to bring in some education providers and training providers. From around the West Midlands. We want them to come in and provide interactive stands, If you can't do an interactive stand, just touchy-feely stuff, just tooling. The kids love picking up, I do as well, to be quite honest. They love picking up the tooling and having a look at it and asking, well, what does this do? What do you use this for? You know. So we really want as many interactive stands as possible. And then we're going to bus in 500 plus local students, and they will come in, each school will come in for a couple of hours throughout the day. We really want to have a great buzz around the place. So we've got lots of things planned. And one of the important things for me, and this was brought home last week, I got in touch with a school and I told them about what we were doing with this festival, and they said, we would absolutely love to come. This sounds brilliant, but we can't afford the transportation costs. Okay. Now, I'm asking for sponsors for the festival. The majority of the sponsorship money will be paying for coaches for the schools. I don't want any child left behind because the schools can't afford the transportation costs. And it's a big issue. It really is for a lot of the schools. There's a lot more stuff they would like to get involved with, and they just can't afford to transport the kids about. So for me, that's one of the biggest things. That's what the sponsorship money's for. And I've set the sponsorship low. We've got low sort of sponsorship levels. We've got 3 sponsors already, which is absolutely brilliant. Dead chuffed about that. So Ingenuity are sponsoring us. Wagstaff Recruitment are sponsoring us, and Vanguard Foundry. So those are our 3 sponsors so far, but obviously we really need a couple more. We're almost there with the buses, but we really need a couple more to make sure we've got everything. And those children as well on the day, that's some of that sponsorship money will go towards paying for them to have a biscuit and a drink while they're at the venue as well. So it's going to be a really exciting day for them. They're going to learn all about engineering and manufacturing. They're going to have a great time. But we don't want it to stop there. We don't want it to be a one-day event where they come, have a great time, and then go home and forget about it. So we've actually got quite a few other events that we're planning around the 12-month period. We're starting with a networking event in November. So that's November the 20th. That will be for sponsors and exhibitors. That is going to be held at Aston University Engineering Academy, also known as Birmingham UTC. I've been working in conjunction with the UTC to help them with their T-levels provision. So on that evening, we're going to have our sponsors and our exhibitors there. We're going to have the UTC, their representatives from the UTC, and we're going to have some T-level students there as well, so that they can talk to the room about what T-levels are, what they do, and the placements that they're looking for. Obviously, we'll also have a panel event with our sponsors on the evening and a speech from our gold sponsor as well. So that's going to be a really good evening. So that's more on the for the UTC side and on the sponsor side. Some of the other events we're looking at is doing an evening event and bringing some of the students back with their parents and carers. We're going to get some activities set up, potentially F1 in schools and potentially building mini satellites. But rather than the kids do it, we're going to get the parents to do it. So the parents are going to do the activities because we really want to get them buying into this, you know. And also I'm going to be working with Kirsty. Hopefully, we're hoping to do a little replication of her Women with Metal and do a Girls with Metal that we can take into the schools. Yeah. So there's a few things like that we're planning around the 12-month period. We want it to be an ongoing thing. We don't want it to just be one day and then it's all over. And we want as many businesses to be involved as possible. This is a great opportunity. If you come along as an exhibitor or sponsor, you don't have to get involved in every event that we're doing. You can get involved with whichever ones you want to get involved with. But, it will be brilliant to get these moving now. And eventually, I hope I'm not answering all your questions. It was the big audacious plan is to actually roll this out across the UK. So I want to be doing more of them around the UK. So I want to be doing between 4 and 6 of these around the UK each year. So
being
yes.
4 or 6 different 4 or 6 different regions. So replicating the same thing times 4 or 6 times.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's a big audacious plan.
Certainly it is big and very audacious. Do you think that you'll be looking for partners to deliver that with, or just really, once you've got the process refined, replicating? Because I know you're very process driven in making sure things are very sort of well mapped out to make be able to deliver
the latter definitely. I'm very lucky in that I have been supported by a number of people. So the first thing I did when I decided to do this was put together a steering group, and I went out to a few people that I know and asked them, will you come on my steering group? And thankfully they said yes, and they've been incredibly supportive. They don't get paid, bless them, but they've been incredibly supportive. Really helped me, given me some vision, and so it's brilliant to have them behind me. Got a good marketing team behind me as well, which is my son and daughter-in-law. And my other daughter coded the website for me, so that was incredibly helpful. So I've been quite well supported so far, to be quite honest. And then we've just signed up with the manufacturer magazine. They're a media partner. So absolutely brilliant to do that with them, and we're hoping to do more with the manufacturer as well, particularly at Smart Manufacturing Week next year. Get more involved with them as well. So we've really been quite lucky so far to have the support that we have had.
I understand why you're saying the word luck, but I'd also say it's not luck. It's a result of sort of how great an idea what you're doing is, but also the efforts that have gone in behind it. And I mean, I know from the bits I've seen, this has been going on a very long time before you started announcing things, and that's why at the point of announcement you're already reeling off so many big names and stuff. This isn't some flash in the pan idea that Angela's come up with. This is something you've worked at a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I think everything that we needed to put into place and what have you, and we finally got everything ready to go. But by that time it was August, the beginning of August, and we just thought, well, it's no good launching now because everybody's off on their jollies and what have you. So this is why we've left it until September to do a proper launch. And as you say, we've been working on it for a long time now. So but it's just really great to see how things have come into place, and we just know it's going to be an absolutely brilliant day for the kids. Yeah.
Fantastic. If you were to describe it as sort of a wrap up about it, how would you describe it to a kid if you happen to bump into some? Well, I guess first of all, tell us what age the target audience is, and then tell us how you'd persuade them to badger their school to come along.
So what we're doing is we're inviting Year 9 students, because Year 9 is the year when they make their GCSE choices. So we're hoping that we will influence them for their GCSEs. We're also inviting sixth form students as well, because obviously they're going to be leaving school within the next year or so, and they're going to be looking for their options as well. So actually on the day, the intention is to have representatives. We want to have some apprentices there, so that they can talk to the students about doing an apprenticeship. We want to have a couple of universities there so that they can talk about the university route. We want to have the UTC there so they can talk about the T-level route. So we want the kids to be able to see all the different routes there is into engineering and manufacturing, rather than trying to push them down one channel. It's showing them the different options, and it's showing them the different options within manufacturing. Again, because I think we tend to fall into a group without realizing. So I realized that I was quite heavily surrounded by connections who were into metal manufacturing. And I don't want the whole focus of the day to be around metal manufacturing. So I've gone out to plastics, I've gone out to aerospace, I've gone out to food, you know, and I want all the different representations from different manufacturing to be there so that the students can see there are lots of different options for them.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest messages, isn't it? Because the majority of people understand that cars are manufactured, but we don't think that our kitchen table's manufactured, our cornflakes is manufactured, our bowl is manufactured. So you need
absolutely.
that diversity of people there to really spark people's imagination of, wow, manufacturing is everything that I like about the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay. I'm going to sort of wrap things up with the normal questions of the episode. So moving away from, clearly I kind of know how passionate you are about this, so it probably will overlap, but if you were talking to people during the weekend, you chatted to somebody in a kitchen, what kind of thing do you talk about different to the usual Teams calls that you might do in the week? And okay, in your case, I'll probably give you a little exemption and say that you're allowed to say the same thing, but what do you talk about to people in the kitchen?
Yeah, I think this is the trouble, you know. I get I am very passionate about what I do. I love what I do, so I do love talking about what I'm up to. But I guess probably the other things, I'm very lucky to have had our first grandchild at the end of February. So I have a huge focus on him at the moment, as you might imagine. He's a big thing in my life at the minute. And I guess the other things are probably, we love sailing, so we quite often we're off sailing, or we're off caravanning, or we're off out walking the dog, doing walks. So we're quite outdoorsy, you know. So we like to get out. So if we are talking, it's not necessarily in the kitchen, it's probably out walking the dog.
Brilliant. I normally ask people what they've got planned or what they hope to achieve in the next 12 months, which a large part of that was kind of the theme of this episode. So what else have you got planned, or what do you want to achieve in the next 12 months? Have you got any particular railway expeditions planned, for example?
Yeah, as you know, I love my railway journeys. And we're off shortly. We'll be off on holiday. We're going to do a railway journey, Prague to Vienna and Vienna to Budapest. So we're really looking forward to doing that. But yeah, I've got a couple next year that I'm looking to do up in Scotland. We've been to Scotland a couple of times, but not spent much time up there, and it's just what I've seen is so beautiful. So certainly there are a couple of railway journeys up in Scotland that I've sort of got in my mind's eye for next year. Yeah,
I can't remember what it's called. There's Inverness over to the west coast, but above, everybody drives down past Loch Ness, which is amazing, but there's a railway line that's sort of north and parallel to that that's brilliant. So I think you could spend a long time in the Highlands on the railway line, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, it should be good.
Okay. So people may see there's links in the postings that come out of this, but of course we don't know how they've watched the episode. So can you tell them, how do they go and find you? How do they find out more about Marvellous Manufacturing and the West Midlands Manufacturing Festival?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn. I also have a LinkedIn page set up for UK Manufacturing Festival. So UK Manufacturing Festivals is is sort of like the umbrella. And I actually bought that domain name back in 2020 after I spoke to Nick and Graham.
Right.
The intention was, if I could persuade other people to have manufacturing festivals, I would just set up a website and put all the different manufacturing festivals on there so anybody could see them at any one time. You know, it wasn't a business thing for me, it was just like an information thing for the schools. So I bought that domain name back in 2020. So now I'm actually using it. So UK Manufacturing Festivals is the page now for LinkedIn, and on there are details about the West Midlands Manufacturing Festival. And also I have a LinkedIn page for Marvellous Manufacturing as well. and both have their own individual websites. So all my contact details you'll find on LinkedIn, on the website, and on the business pages as well.
Okay. Before I sign off and say thank you, do you have a final sentence or thought that you'd like to sign off your part of the episode with?
Yeah, come and help me excite 500 plus kids. I challenge you.
Brilliant. I think that's probably one of the best elevator pitches I've heard for a very long time, Angela. So I'll thank you for that, and I'll thank you for being a guest and for coming back on with the start of such an exciting journey. I think there's a few of us been waiting until you could announce it and waiting until you could tell us more. So it's brilliant, and I hope people have enjoyed hearing more about it.
Thanks, Mark. I really appreciate you having me back on.
Thanks for coming on. I will wrap up with the usual sort of end of episode words, just by saying that if you'd like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, and in particular if you'd like to appear on a future episode, please email us at inquiries@mtdcnc.com or contact myself, Stuart Whitehead, or Joe Reynolds. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. From me, Mark Weymouth at Plus Automation. Cheers. And thanks.